Time now for Better Pets. Having a urinary tract infection is no fun at all, and they can happen to our furry friends too.
That's right, and Dr. Dennis from the Bloomfield Animal Hospital is here to tell us about what causes them and some of the symptoms to look out for. Hi.
Hello, how are you this afternoon?
Oh my goodness.
Excellent. I'm so prone to think of these as basically a cat disease, a cat problem, but you say it can happen in dogs as well.
Oh, dogs get them quite often.
Seriously?
Yeah, even especially older females.
My big dog.
As female dogs get a little bit older, they tend to leak a little urine. Sometimes you don't even notice. And that sort of wetness that's there all the time around their private areas will cause ascending infections. So we see bladder infections, kidney infections all the time in dogs and cats.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, I think the thing about cats is, especially male cats, it can be potentially fatal.
Oh, no.
Because they cannot go to the bathroom, and then that's why we hear about cats being so dangerous.
Are the symptoms very different between the breeds or even the animals?
No, they're pretty similar, even in humans. You go to the bathroom frequently. You want to. It's uncomfortable. I think cats, in particular, will go in places that they normally don't go. They go outside of their litter box, and because of that, you need to be very observant and very diligent about that. So yeah, and sometimes they'll just go 10 times outside, and you just see them squatting all the time if it's a dog.
All right, so causes.
Yeah, the most common is really bacteria and stress. Staph is one of the most common bacterial infections we see, but believe it or not, that number 2, stress, is also huge. When people bring another animal into the house, that almost always will set off a urinary infection, especially in cats. That's one of the things. Sometimes you don't even notice it, but that's one of the big issues. Sometimes when people travel with their pets, it brings on infections. And then we talked about number 3, that little leaking of urinary. And, I have a male dog, and he's getting a little older, and he has a little incontinence too, but you have to check. You have to be very observant with their bedding if it's just a little bit wet. And then another big one is we see bladder stones, kidney stones. And what's kind of neat, and this shouldn't be gross at all, I actually brought some of, we actually have a great x-ray of what bladder and kidney stones look like. So let's see if we can bring that up. Aww. So this dog is living with intermittent bladder infections. Look to the right. So the tail is to the right of the screen. His head is to the left. He's lying on his side. And you see that red circular area. There are about 8 different bladder stones in that dog.
And How do you get rid of that?
Well, surgery.
Surgery.
Yeah, and actually, I'm going to bring out some.
Absolutely.
Because I do this surgery quite often, and there's different types, there's different shapes. And these are bladder stones.
Those were
actually in a dog?
Yes, and they just sit there and they cause the infection, and then so you have to go in there. Now there's a couple of stones, couple of types of stones. There's like 4 types of stones. They're made of different sort of ingredients, so to speak. Sometimes a diet can dissolve one of them, that's the lucky one, but most of the time diet will not dissolve them. So you have to go in and you have to remove it, and so you see all different kinds of shapes. Do you want to grab one?
Sure.
Okay. There you go. And now, let me just show you what it's like with cats.
This is remarkable.
I also want to show you some more different shapes and sizes here. So again, here, I'll give you a nice smooth one. Now, when you were talking about cats, and I've got about 7 different types of bladder stones right here. The cats are more like the grain of salt. And because they cannot pass these very easily, sometimes they'll get stuck, and that's why male cats can't go to the bathroom. Okay?
So symptoms. What are some of the symptoms?
Again, like sometimes you'll see blood in the urine.
Blood in the urine.
Yes, and now we're getting into spring, so it's much easier when you've got the snow. And a lot of people go to the bathroom, right? And then again, they go frequently, abnormal spots, and a lot of times you'll just see them drinking a lot of water, and you're not sure why are they drinking so much water. Right. So the best way, though, is you need your veterinarian. And you need to. That last one was talking about straining too, which we see quite a bit. But the way you want to do is when you see any symptom that kind of reminds you of those different things that we just listed, you want to make sure you call your veterinarian. And I'm going to ask you to bring a urine sample. That's what I'm going to ask you to do.
How do you get that? I think
well,
that's so
good
hard.
thing that you asked, because I sort of ad-libbed Instead of using litter, you're going to empty your litter box. Okay, and I have these glass beads. So it looks like litter, you know, and the cat will go in it and do its little paw thing and then squat. But that doesn't absorb the urine. So then you'll also have a little syringe. I brought a big syringe so everyone could see it. And sometimes I'll even tilt it a little bit, let all the fluid go to the bottom, squirt it in, and then you'll put it in the tube. So veterinarians love presents, so we love our samples. So even with a male or even a male dog, female dog, you just put a little flat little instrument like that or a flat container and catch that sample.
That is remarkable.
Yeah, and even if your veterinary office doesn't remind you to bring a sample in, just bring it.
Anyway.
And if they don't need it, they'll throw it out. But it's not a big deal to collect one.
Real quick, treatments. So
Treatments, usually antibiotics are the key. And then again, if you can remove the stresses, if you do have a new animal that comes into the house, make sure you make there a lot of play time. Make sure you understand that this is something new for them. They even have certain pheromones you can spray in the house. And lastly, there's prescription. Once you know your dog or cat has chronic urinary tract infections, there's special diets. And one of the more famous one is called CD. And the CD here is, you see it says urinary right on it. But your veterinarian will guide you through all this. It's very easy to treat. Almost 100% get better real quick.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's good. Yeah.
Okay, as a reminder, Dr. Dennis is the owner of the Bloomfield Animal Hospital on Old Windsor Road in Bloomfield. You can check her out online, BloomfieldAnimalHospitalCT.com.
And on alternating Saturday afternoons from 2 to 3, she's taking listener questions during Pet Talk on WTIC 1080 radio. So tune in for that if you can.